Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is Bryan with Unrivaled Multimedia. I am here with my weekly starts and sits for fantasy football. I will be starting with the sits. First off, I would start Philip Rivers of the San Diego Chargers, the quarterback, against the Oakland Raiders. Last week, as we all know, had the biggest game of his career, throwing for over 500 yards, throwing for a couple of touchdowns. Looked very well against the Green Bay Packers. I expect him this week against Oakland Raiders to light it up and really just get a lot of touchdowns and passing yards. Next up, we're going to go with DEVONTAE FREEMAN of the Atlanta Falcons, the running back, against the Tennessee Titans. As we know, last week, the Tennessee Titans gave up 100 yards to Lamar Miller of the Miami Dolphins. And I expect DEVONTAE FREEMAN, being the second leading rusher in the NFL, to really get a lot of yards and at least get a couple touchdowns. Next up is going to be Antonio Gates, the tight end for the San Diego Chargers, going up against the Oakland Raiders. I expect him to have a very big day. Philip Rivers, I expect him to get the ball to him a lot. They know it's his favorite target at home. And yeah, I see Gates going for 100 yards at least and a couple touchdowns. Next up, KEENAN Allen, the wide receiver for the San Diego Chargers against the Raiders. Last week against the Green Bay Packers, having 14 catches, over 150 yards receiving. Expect him to do just about the same big numbers against the Raiders, who we all know has a very, very poor secondary. Next up, I'm going to go with the Cardinals defense against the Ravens. We know the Ravens are having a very, very bad season, and the defense for the Cardinals is very good in the secondary, led by Patrick Peterson, and I expect them to have a very good day. No, last week, Joe Flacco throwing a couple of interceptions against the San Francisco 49ers. Next up would be the St. Louis Rams defense against the Cleveland Browns. They are very stout on the defensive line. As we know, Luke McCown is prone to throw a lot of interceptions and sacks. I expect the Rams defense to have a very big day. The last player I would start on my fantasy team would be LeSean McCoy, the running back for the Buffalo Bills against the Jaguars. I expect him to have a very big day and be able to at least get a couple of touchdowns, probably over 100 yards. He looked very good coming back off of injury last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the players that I would sit this week in week 7, first off would be the Jets defense against the New England Patriots. The Patriots are probably the best offense going right now. Tom Brady is hot. No, you have LeGarrette Blount. I just don't see the Jets defense doing very much against the Patriots, on the road especially. We know that in the first half last week against the Washington Redskins, Kirk Cousins did look good, so you expect Tom Brady to look even better against the Jets defense. Now, the second person that I would sit next week is Joe Flacco against the Cardinals. He just is not looking all the way there, throws a lot of interceptions. I expect that to be the same against the Cardinals. So if you have Joe Flacco, definitely sit him. Now, the third player that I would sit this week is DeMarco Murray against the Carolina Panthers. Just not seeing DeMarco Murray being able to have a lot of running lanes. I expect them to put at least 8 in the box this week against DeMarco Murray and force Sam Bradford to throw and prove that he can get the ball down the field. Now, lastly, the player that I would sit is JULIAN Edelman versus the New York Jets, especially because of him injuring his pinky finger last week. He just could not catch the ball against the Colts, and I expect that to be the same this week. He is going to play, but yeah, with that injury, you definitely need your hands as a wide receiver, so I would definitely sit him this week. All right, that has been my starts and sits for week 7 in fantasy football. Please follow Unrivaled Multimedia and check out all the links in the description below. And please do check out Unrivaled Podcast for daily fantasy football tips and everything, and real football also. And you can follow me personally on Twitter at crunch_TYME. Until next time, take it easy.